Well, hello and welcome everybody. Randy Replay back. Excuse me. Randy Replay yeah. Okay, Randy Replay back at it again. It is the best time of the year. Randy Replay's favorite time of the year, the bye-week extravaganza. And this time it is near mid-season at week number 8. We're about to go over everything Minnesota Vikings football as it pertains, however you want to look at it, to the 2023-2024 NFL season. Minnesota Vikings lead the NFC North 5-2. The Green Bay Packers and the Bears, oh my, are tied at 3-4. And then the Lions in the basement of the division, excuse me, at 2-4. My apologies. The team is ranked number 1 in offensive points per game after, dropping a couple points to the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. We are now under 50 points a game. Excuse me. My goodness. Offensive passing yards, we are number 2 in the NFL. Offensive rush yards, number 2, and number 31 in every measurable defensive category, as you can see. As it sits now, week number 8, the trade deadline, Minnesota has 50 out of 53 players and $57.9 million in the cap space. A couple names, 4 trades that came up at the deadline were Brian O'Neill, because he can't stay healthy the last couple seasons, but he's injured. You can't trade injured players, so might have to visit that in the off season. And then Storm Duck was another one. Of course, we will bring you any trades that happen overnight in week number 9 against the Buccaneers. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to go over in the main screen. The team is 5-2. Our only losses coming to, of course, the Atlanta Falcons early, week number 4, and then week number 7 after rattling off 2 straight wins. And we lose one to a division rival in the worst way possible. Hashtag 360 no scope. Ope. I mean 360 no nope. We take the L last week, 39-34, in an absolute heartbreaker. But that's okay. We're still number 1 in the division. And if we go to the standings in the NFL, this team is number 2 overall. The Browns are 6-1. Vikings are sole owners, 5-2. I don't know how that's possible. The Patriots are 6-2. The Broncos 6-1. So I don't know. Maybe it just clumps us up there for whatever reason. The Chargers are 5-2, Bengals 5-2, and then the next NFC team is the Buccaneers at 5-2, Falcons are 5-3, Cowboys 4-2, Saints, or the Aints, however you want to look at it, and the Jets are also 4-2. And then big news to report. If we go all the way down, the Bills have won their second game of the season. My goodness. So they are now 2-5. They would first round pick is 4th overall. And just behind the Titans, the Jags, and the Niners, who are surprisingly having a bad season. So the Bengals are number 6 overall. If we take a look at the NFC, Minnesota and the Buccaneers are tied, and guess who we play next week? You're correct. The Buccaneers. But the Buccaneers play the Packers this week, so it's kind of a weird thing. Like, do you want to play for the division next week? Well, if you want to, you're going to have to root for the Packers. And if the Packers beat them, you have a 1-game advantage, but we all want the Packers to lose, so the Bucs would have a 1-game advantage. So what do? I guess you just let it play itself out, and hope for the best. So there you have it. The Buffalo Bills in the early game slot of this bye week take care of the Patriots 48-45 in a nail biter and a barn burner. I myself checked in the third quarter a little bit and saw the Patriots kind of battling back. At one point, it was the Bills up 41-20, 41-24, I do believe. And allowing some points there, but they hold on to get the victory. And then the Seahawks, who went down to Atlanta, taking care of business there. They're now 3-4. Atlanta's 5-3. Bills are 2-5. And there you have it. Going for the Vikings the rest of the way. Actually, let's take you through the season, shall we? We started out the preseason with the Jacksonville Jaguars, 37-23. Kevin O'Connell gets his first preseason win in that one, and we get to see our first look at Anthony Richardson, and we pick up the win. Second week against the Dolphins, 29-48, we lose. And against the Broncos, we don't want to talk about it, 28-52. Looking like the the Vikings of last season. And then, in one of the classic games, might even be game of the year in week number 1, the Minnesota Vikings pulled off a 52-50 victory. We have fallen off a cliff. Oh boy. Vikings fan line chat coming in. 52-50 win over the Bears. And then we get the Aints on Thursday night. 51-26, we take care of business in Minnesota in one of our many Thursday night games, which is very weird. But it is what it is. And then in Green Bay, we take care of the Packers 51-40. And it was time for somebody's O down to somebody's O has to go in the GO, and then somebody's O has to leave in the 30313, and it was Minnesota's. So Atlanta improves rather to 4-0, and then we fall to 3-1, and then we rattle off a couple wins against the Chargers, a bugaboo team for us. We beat them 3 points rather. And then we had the game against the Seahawks. This game was full of controversy. We had feed issues, so much so that we could not compile all of the what do you call it? The game footage. And this game does not exist ever. It's weird. So the SSN was not able to compile all the video footage from the issues that was had. There were, it was just a weird feeling down there at Lumen Field. There were some calls that were made that went the way of the Seahawks, the roughing the passer where the guy literally got hit, stayed on his feet, and took a knee and drew the flag. There was just a lot of weird things that happened in this game, but nobody will ever see it because the SSN has seemingly either lost the footage or the footage was taken away. Big parts of the game were lost due to the satellite issues down there at Lumen Field. So yeah, just a weird weekend, and that is the first time in this franchise that we will not have a video on demand replay of the simulcast, but Minnesota takes the win 51-30. And then of course last week the 360 no-nope game, we lose by 5 to the Packers. Anyway, and then we are here at the bye week. After the bye week, we are away for 2 games against the Buccaneers, possible number 1 seed in the NFC North NFC on the line there. And then we go to the Kitty Litter area, or the Kitty Litter Field, that is Ford Field, and face the Detroit Motor City Kitty Lions. And then we're at home for 2 against the Broncos and Panthers. We are away in Las Vegas's new stadium against the Raiders. And a game that Randy's looking forward to, we face the Steelers at home, and then we go to Kansas City. So that will be a test. Of course, the Steelers and the Chiefs are back-to-back Thursday night football games. So we get to see Anthony Richardson versus Patrick Mahomes. And then we end the season with 3 road games against the Giants, the Bears, and the Lions. Oh, my. Excuse me. My goodness. Playoff picture is available in 5 weeks. And we will go through stats now. This is the meat and potatoes. This is what everybody comes to see here in these bye-week extravaganza. Anthony Richardson, 2,652 yards, good for first in the NFL in terms of yardage. Bryce Young is just behind him, so the two rookies getting it done, so to speak, this season. And, of course, Josh Allen up there, too. So we have the three teams that we follow rounding up the top passers in the NFL. My goodness. So Josh Allen throwing 3 more touchdowns than the rookie. He's got 20 picks. The other rookie has 13. Allen has 40. So Bryce Young, the least touchdown thrower of the 3 teams, but he also has the least amount of picks. So you take that trade-off every single time. Let's get into it. For Anthony Richardson, he is 180 of 284. That is 63% completion percentage. For those of you that didn't know how to do math, or simply didn't look over here. A career and season long of 77 yards passed on one play, averaging 10 yards per just under 9.5 yards per attempt. My apologies. A passer rating of 90.2. My goodness. And then, of course, averaging just under 380 yards a game, sacked 24 times. Malik Willis only came in for a little bit. 1 yard, one pass, 1 completion, 19 yards for a touchdown. So, Malik Willis, 100% completion percentage. Near perfect passer rating at 158.3. Actually, I do believe that is perfect for the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, he was on the Titans roster, and they took C.J. Stroud, so Minnesota traded Taysom Hill and I do believe a 3rd rounder for Malik and a 3rd, so I think they swapped picks. If we really wanted to, we could go back, but we don't really need to. For rushing, Dalvin Cook, 217 carries, 975 yards, and 10 touchdowns on the season. Also has 4 fumbles. Longest run of 22, so you like to see that up a little bit. Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, and Blake Corum, 3 of the top 4 rushers in the NFL as well. So the 3 teams that we follow obviously having a good seasons, and it's going to be really interesting coming down the stretch. Anthony Richardson, the QB, 24 carries, 127, and a touchdown. Dalvin Cook, 4 fumbles. Anthony Richardson, 3 fumbles. Couple broken tackles for the 6'4" quarterback. 34 broken tackles for Dalvin Cook through 7 games. My goodness. JJ has 10 for 30. Tyler Johnson, 1 for 18. I do believe that was off of a end around. I don't know what else it would be. Adam Thielen, 4 for 3. CJ Ham, 1 for 2 on a big 4th down, longest of 2, obviously. Justin Jefferson, 60 catches. Not good enough for number 1. That would be Kyle Pitts, but in terms of yardage, he is number 1. 1,279 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 gritties getting seen here this season. Longest reception of 77 yards. Okay, now you might be asking yourself, what's that other 77? Well, that belongs to Adam Thielen, who has 54 catches, 674 yards, 4 touchdowns, longest of 77 as well. That's crazy. TJ Hawkinson, who came over by way of trade around, I want to say, week 5. They traded Von Miller to the Lions, who are now absolutely stacked due to some other trades that we'll get into. I'm looking at the Bills. 4 touchdowns for TJ. Played in all 7 games, but of course he was on the Lions roster to begin the season. Tyler Johnson, 27 catches, 268 and a touchdown. Dalvin Cook, 216 yards off 26 catches and 2 touchdowns as well. Sam Laporta, the rookie, just in there last week, got his first catch of the season and of his career for 14 yards. CJ Ham 2 for 11 and a touchdown. Nobody cares about blocking. We're going to go to... Actually, we might this season. We have a lot of rookies. Let's see what the rookies are up to. Blake Freeland. He's not in there much, but when he is in there... Oh, he's played in 0 games. Okay, never mind. Brian O'Neill only played in 3 games this season. Okay, he's a starter. He's only played in 3 games this season. My goodness. I wish we could trade him. Only giving up 1 sack, though. Matthew Jones, the rookie, on the left side of center. 7 games played, 1 sack allowed. Eric McCoy, the center, 3 sacks allowed. Robert Scott, Brian O'Neill's backup, giving up 4 sacks. Evan Ingram, the rookie, inside on the right, giving up 8. And then Christian Darrisaw, giving up 9. So it's a young offensive line. They're only going to get better from here. In terms of tackling, we're going to rattle off these real quick. And then we'll get you to some other stats. Harrison Smith with 83 leads the team, and it's not even close. Eric Hendricks was 75. Lewis Seen was 69. Sean Murphy Bunting, new cornerback, 59. Jordan Hicks, 56. Hey, that rhymed. Troy Dye with 50. Andrew Booth Jr. with 44. Cam Danzer with What Are You Doing with 42. Daniil Hunter with 36. Zadarius with 25. Jaqueline Roy, the rookie, 22 total tackles on the season. My goodness. Dalvin Tomlinson with 18. Harrison Phillips with 17. DJ Wanham with 16. Josh Metellus 14. Eli Ricks, the rookie, 9. Janaris Robinson hasn't been in there much. He only has 1. And Tanner Muse, a left outside linebacker that I thought was going to start once Von Miller departed for TJ Hawkinson. Maybe not even start, but get a lot more playing time. He has not really played that much this season. Only played in 4 games. He has 1 tackle to show for it. 66 downs. So he's got great speed. He's just got to learn how to harness it out there. Tackles for loss, we've had a ton. Daniil Hunter, 17. Eric Hendricks with... oh, God. Okay, Daniil Hunter with 17. Eric Hendricks with 12. Jaqueline Roy with 11. What a season he's having. Also, number 2 in sacks on the team. Jordan Hicks with 7. Troy Dye and Zadarius with 7. Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips with 6. Harrison Smith, Lewis Seen, DJ Wanham with 3, and Murphy Bunting with 2. Sacks, your sack leader, Daniil Hunter. I don't believe that's good enough for number 1. It is Chase Young, who has just been traded to the Dallas Cowboys, I guess. Uh-oh. Chris Jones, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith. And he's down there. There's Josh Allen. No, not to be confused with the quarterback. Van Ginkel. Wait, where's Daniil? Why is Daniil not listed number 2? I wasn't even looking at the numbers. Anyway, he's number 2 in the league. So there you go. I swear, there's some weird stuff going on with the Vikings this season. Jaqueline Roy with 5.5 in his rookie season. That's not terrible. He's putting together a very, very good year. And, yeah, he's a day 1 starter for a reason, listed by the NFL, or tagged by the NFL, if you will. Harrison Phillips, 2.5. Zadarius, 1.5, including one of those being against Aaron Rodgers. You'll love to see it. Dalvin Tomlinson, 1.5. Jordan Hicks with 1. And then DJ Wanham just has a half sack. I do believe he split that with Tomlinson, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to go back. Interceptions, Cameron Dantzler, number 2 on the team last season. He's filling in for Xavier Rhodes now, in terms of sharing the lead of interceptions with Sean Murphy Bunting, each with 5. Andrew Booth Jr., second-year guy, with 4. Harrison Smith and Lewis Seen, the safeties, each have 2. And then Josh Metellus with 1. Pass deflections, we've had a ton. Cameron Dantzler, pass deflection machine. He had 2 in the last game against the Packers on Alan Lazard, 8 on the season, 6 for Sean Murphy Bunting, 3 for Jordan Hicks, 3 for Harrison Smith, 2 for Andrew Booth Jr., and then Lewis Seen Zaza Zadarius. I'm contractually obligated to say that. With 1, and then Troy Dye with 1 as well. Catches allowed, we don't really look at or track, I guess. Forced fumbles, Harrison Smith with 4, Lewis Seen with 3, Eric Kendricks with 3, Hicks and Dye with 2, 1 for Booth Jr. and Zaza Zadarius. Recovered, 2 of them by Dantzler, 1 of them by Seen, Kendricks, Dye, Booth Jr., Daniil Hunter, Harrison Phillips, Tomlinson, and Eli Ricks. So we force 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, God, I've lost count already. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And we recovered 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So only lost 5. That's not horrible out of 16. No block kicks, no safeties, and 4 defensive touchdowns, my bad. Cam Dantzler, Eric Hendricks, Andrew Booth Jr., and Harrison Smith for your Minnesota Vikings this season. Let me get a breather in. That was a lot. For Joey Sly, he is 17 for 19. That is 89% field goal percentage for those of you that didn't know how to do math. Or didn't look right here. 61, the longest of his year. We're going to go, and I do believe that is the longest of his career. Field goal long, yes, it ties the longest of his career from last year where he was 95%, and he's 89 through 7 games. So obviously the best year of his career last season with Minnesota. Longest of 61, yeah, out of Virginia Tech. You love to see it. Extra points, he's 32 of 36. We've had a couple doinks, 88% there. Field goals from 29 and below, he is 3 for 3. Field goals 39. 29 to 39, he is 2 for 3. 39 to 49, he is 5 for 5. Okay, there we go. I got it again. And then field goals of 50 or more, he is 7 for 8. 63 kickoffs, 58 touchbacks. So only 4 kickoffs were returnable and being returned. 5 rather. 5 kickoffs being returned. Not bad. Punting. Hunter Nicewander, 27 punts through 7 games, 1,275 yards, netting 1,049. So some yards returned there. We're not going to do quick math there. Average 38 yards per punt, 6 of them inside the 20, 6 of them being touchbacks. I do believe last season he only had 3 touchbacks the whole season. This year he has 6. And then 15 went inside the 20 this year. 6 already. So his first season with Dallas, 2 of them have touchbacks. So he's progressively getting more and more touchbacks. And the longest punt of his career happened this season of 59. Kick returns, Kene Nwangwu has 40, 959 return yards, 1 of them going back for a touchdown of 98 yards. That happened in the second half kickoff of the Charger game, which the video on demand replay or the simulcast will go up hopefully soon. Janoris Robinson got a kickoff return 1 for 2. There you have it. Dan Chisena has kind of taken over for punt returns, 8 punt returns, 64 yards, longest of 17, and no touchdowns for him. So now we'll go over to the team stats. I always love to see these. Offensive yards, the Minnesota Vikings are number 2, obviously behind the Falcons. Total offensive yards gained are 4,707, and we split that up. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay. So total yards gained, 4,707, right? 3,631 of those are split between 2,478 passing yards and 1,153 rushing yards. So I wonder what happened to those other yardage. What else do they account, I wonder? I'm not seeing much else. Because that's over 5,000 if you add 6. We're over almost 100 yards. Anyway, so 3,631 total offensive yards. 2,478 of those passing, 1,153 rushing, right? Averaging 46 points per game. That is good enough for number 1 in the NFL. 23 passing touchdowns, 11 rushing, and 181 first downs gained. Wowzers. Defensively, Minnesota, very different story. We are, again, right behind the Falcons. 3,965 yards allowed. That is split up between 2,780 passing yards allowed and 1,185 rushing yards allowed. We have allowed 281 points. We have 25 QB sacks, 13 fumble recoveries, and 19 interceptions. So there you go. The Bills right below us, and the Falcons are above us. And there you have it. Conversions. See if we can find us here. Percentage. We'll start with the highest and we'll work our way down. Near the middle of the pack. So, okay, 55 for 114. That is 48%. Just 50%. Just under 50%. Third down conversion rate. And then 1 for 4 on fourth downs. And we are 3 for 3 on 2-point conversions. One of them being in that Bears game. I think. Week number 1 to seal the deal in one of the greatest games Randy Replay has ever called. 100% 2-point conversion rate. And then red zone efficiency. This is where we get embarrassed, I do believe. Not terrible. Minnesota's third in red zone trips behind the Bills, who have 51. Converting 25, 49%. It's not bad. Falcons 50, converting 19 for 38. Field goals, touchdowns rather. So 25 touchdowns in the red zone, only 3 field goals for the Bills. My goodness. 19 touchdowns in the red zone for the Falcons, 17 field goals, and then Minnesota, 49 red zone trips, 24 of those being touchdowns, and 5 being field goals. So we have 20 times the Minnesota Vikings were in the red zone. They did not score. My goodness. That's crazy. With a red zone percentage scoring of 48%. Defensive red zone trips. The defense have been in our red zone 55 times. We've given up 19 touchdowns and 16 field goals. The Bills only giving up 1 field goal in the red zone. 30 touchdowns, and then the Falcons 20 touchdowns, 10 field goals in the red zone. 34% red zone percentage for the Vikings, lowest out of the 3 that we cover. The best red zone team in the NFL. Surprisingly, the last place 49ers. Only missing out on 2 trips, 80%. That's crazy. Penalties, Minnesota. Among the least penalized team in the league. But when we do it big. The Bills 9 for 103, the Falcons 10 for 86, the Vikings 14 for 144. Turnovers, this is where it gets a little dicey. Not a lot of teams are plus anything big here. Minnesota Vikings are +5 in the turnover differential. That is 27 giveaways, 21 interceptions, and 6 fumbles. And then takeaways, 32, making up 19 interceptions and 13 fumble recoveries. So we're plus 5 on the take give. The worst team, the Buffalo Bills, minus 22 in the take give. Giveaways, 45, interceptions, 40. And then fumbles lost 5, takeaways 23, defensive interceptions 16, and defensive fumble recoveries 7. So there you go. There's the team stats. The weekly awards. We'll go through this real quick. JJ, first game of the season, 9 catches, 262 yards, averaging 29.1 receiving yards per catch. 4 touchdowns, 4 gritties down in the Windy City, 1 carry, 3 rush yards. And there you have it. On the other side, of course, Brisker was the defensive player of the week. 2 picks, 1 forced fumble, 8 tackles. Dalvin Cook in the second game, 36 carries, 218, a rushing touchdown, 3 catches, and 29 yards and a receiving touchdown. And then Trayvon Diggs, 4 tackles, 4 picks. My goodness. Week number 3, Minnesota had Andrew Booth Jr., 2 picks, 1 of them for a touchdown. 10 tackles. And Jared Goff, 5 touchdowns, but we don't really track them. Trayvon Diggs, 4 picks in the week 4 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. 3 tackles. So Trayvon Diggs all over the field. We look at the AFC. Okay, just making sure. Week number 4 also featured Tre'Davious White, 2 picks, 1 of them for a pick 6, and 8 tackles. 8 tackles. Let me enunciate. 8 tackles. 8 tackles. At one point, Chase Young was on the Bills, if you believe it. 6 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble in week number 5. And the only week that one of the teams that we followed didn't have anybody in the AFC defensive, player of the week, I should say, is week number 6. And I guess week number 7. Okay. So there you go. Player of the weeks. My goodness. NFL records, we'll just kind of get through these, make sure nobody said anything weird. Take a look at the game one first. 2022. Aaron Rodgers. Last season, 6-13. Oh, we suck. LOL JK. Having some fun here in the Vikings fan line. Oh my goodness. Anthony Richardson this season, 596, good for 3rd. It's not going to do much. That was all last year. 2023, Lamar Jackson set the single game rushing record at 417. Najee Harris came close with 369. Rushing touchdowns, yada, 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 nothing. Receiving yards. Last season, JJ came in 3rd. Trey Burks, or Burks from the Titans. Okay, that was last year. Adam Thielen, 20 catches in a single game last season. When did that happen? Okay. Just 2 shy of the record. Yeah, I don't think any... Okay, single season. Is anybody trending? We're just looking it over real quick. Nobody's really trending for 2023. A lot of 2022s. Okay, so nobody's trending for any NFL records this season. I do believe that is it. We're going to end the bye week extravaganza with some transactions. Now, this has never been a strong point for Randy Replay, so you're going to have to bear with him. So the Bengals trade a 2024 round 4 and a 2024 round 2. My goodness. 4. Ed Oliver, round 3, pick number 88, and a round 3 next year and this year. So they give up round 3 next year and Ed Oliver, and a 3rd round this year for a 4th and a 2nd this year. My goodness. So there you go. There's trade number 1. Apparently there were a lot, and we're going to get through them, hopefully. Okay, so we got another divisional trade. Oh my goodness. Oh, Ed Oliver and, okay, I didn't see this one. Here we go. Ed Oliver and DJ Reader. So there you go. Over to the Bills. So that is quite the trade. Unless if this, it doesn't tell us. Maybe Ed Oliver and DJ Reader straight up, and maybe the pick swap. It doesn't really tell us. It just goes into details like that. So, I'm going to assume that it is a 2024 round 4 and a 2024 round 2, and DJ Reader for Ed Oliver and these picks. That's what I'm going to assume. Maybe it just got split up. Maybe it is 2 trades. Who knows? You see it. You have it. So a divisional trade with the NFC North and the Buffalo Bills. Imagine that. Another one. I think somebody's out to get your Minnesota Vikings. Will Fuller and Jadeveon Clowney will come over to the Bears by way of trade for Grady Jarrett, Robert Quinn. So a 2-player trade there. So oh boy. So Grady Jarrett leads the division. We get Jadeveon Clowney back. And then Will Fuller comes to the Bears as well. So, okay, we lose Grady Jarrett, but we got to face Jadeveon Clowney twice. Actually, one more time this season. That's not bad, actually. Okay, so, and then the Bills trade Chase Young. Oh, wow. For CD Lamb, 2024 round 1 and a 2024 round 4, which was later not used. 125. This one is 121. So at one point, the Bills had 121 and 125. That's crazy. So they get a 1st round pick from the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb for Chase Young plus a 4th. That is a steal of a deal. 49ers re-sign Javon Kinlaw. We got some re-signings. Okay. Tommy Kramer, not to be confused with the Vikings quarterback, released. Just a bunch of signings from the practice squad. Luke Wattenberg. Texans trade a round 5 for Rashad Penny and Max Sharping. Okay. DeAndre Swift goes to the Cowboys. They get a round 3 and a round 7. Rashad Penny for... Oh, wait. Okay. So DeAndre Swift to the Cowboys for Rashad Penny, a round 3 and a round 7. All right. And then Shaquille Griffin comes to the Lions. Did they trade him? So they traded for him, DeAndre Swift. This is all jumbled together. So they trade for DeAndre Swift, then they trade him away the same week. My goodness, you get here and you got to hop a plane over to Dallas. So 3 teams for DeAndre Swift this season. Shaquille Griffin, rather. Welcome to the Lions. They also give a 6 and a 4. DeAndre and a 6. And then, of course, the Bills trade T. Higgins to the Lions for Aruwariye and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So there you go. Welcome in T. Higgins. I like that last name, by the way. Oruwarie. I like saying that on the calls. And then a bunch of re-signings. Jared Cook. Yeah, but the big ones, right before the trade deadline, the Bills secure a number 1 round pick, and we'll go through the picks real quick for the teams that we follow. I know this has taken a long time. I apologize. It is what it is. So for your Minnesota Vikings, we like to do this prior to the draft, but we'll do it here mid-season. They do have a second round overall pick, number 38, through Carolina. They have a third, number 87, through New York. Their only pick they own, the third, 94, and then a 2024 round 4, 99 overall from Jacksonville, and then a 4th next year, and that's it. What you see is what you get. They could probably turn that 4th into a 4th or a 5th, or maybe package the 2 4s for another 3 this season. Of course, if there are any trades made overnight here this week, we will bring them to you prior to the game against the Buccaneers. Excuse me. As always. And then for the Bills, my heavens, are they stacked? So, let's run this down. The Bills' 2024 round picks are as follows, and I quote, the number 21 overall pick by way of Cincinnati, as it sits now, there's still half a season. The number 25 pick as it sits right now through Dallas. Second round, number 53 overall through Cincinnati. And then they don't pick until the 4th round, where they have three selections, 105, 121, 125 by way of Dallas, Detroit, and New England. And then 2 5s, 138, 158 overall. You can thank you for the... I do believe that is through the Von Miller trade. In some weird way. I don't know why else they would acquire a pick from us. Maybe it's through Minnesota by way of Detroit. Because we did... I do believe we... I can't remember. I do believe we did give up a round 5 for the Von Miller trade. And maybe it went through Detroit and they wound up with it. Who knows? I mean, there have been so many trades for picks this season that we've lost count. And then by way of Houston, of course, for that other 5th round pick. 2 6s, 169 nice, by way of Detroit, 175 by way of Philly, and then 4 7th round selections. And of course, they're 196. They own it. 198 by way of Carolina, 217 by way of Dallas, and 218 by way of Los Angeles. So they have a couple picks that they pick right behind each other. 196, 198. They're split by 1, but that's not going to matter much. 217, 218. And then what was the one up here? 121, 125 split by 4. And then, of course, their first 2, as it sits now, 21 and 25 split by 4 as well. So pretty close to each other there. Not bad at all. And then the Falcons, they always seem to be in this situation, but they always seem to find a way to scoot back into the first 3 rounds. As it sits now, they have 3 7s. And they don't own any of them. Number 199 from Pittsburgh, 205 from Green Bay, 221 through New England. So 777. Interesting. 3 7s. So they don't own any of their picks. They've had 0 before and wound up with Bryce Young. So look for them to make some moves here, either on draft night or prior to in the off season. So it's always a frenzy. And then of course next year they have a 6 and a 7, only ones that they own. So yeah, look for them to get some moves. Number 1 overall pick as it sits right now belongs to the 49ers, like we said. I do believe that is going to do it for us here at the SSN. As far as a bye week extravaganza goes, I know it was a little bit longer. There was a lot to cover. There was a lot of trades that they never make sense because you can't see what is actually traded for what. It's all just a big jambalaya of names and picks. The mock draft number 2 is out. We covered that prior to the Green Bay game. And we have a couple of players ready to renegotiate. This will bring us right up to the end of this one. And once again, well, maybe for the last time, Minnesota Vikings have 57.9 in cap available at the trade deadline. If there's any movement or moves being made, we will bring them to you prior to the Buccaneers game. And this has been Randy Replay. I will see you in what could be a game that decides the number 1 seed in the NFC next week. Oh boy.